a lot of people do feel greatly impacted by the energy of others. A lot of people are empathic, are intuitive, are actually hearing things that are genuine. They're genuinely coming to them for a reason. Can we launch into that? Is it appropriate at this time to go into that?
Right. Well, I wrote my book, Positive Energy, to discuss the kind of new psychiatry I'm pioneering called energy psychiatry. And what that is that combines traditional psychiatry with an appreciation of spirituality and intuition and subtle energies and the unseen realm. And it's so exciting to me to bring all of those together. And so I look at a human being not only as flesh and blood and the material, which we all are, but we have these subtle energy fields that go through the body and expand way beyond the body, the auras or the energy field, and these interrelate all the time. And this affects health and well-being tremendously.
Right.
One thing that's really important for people to know is the concept that I discussed called intuitive empathy. And what intuitive empathy is that many people are very, very sensitive, and they can sense energy at a distance, but they take on the energy in their bodies like a sponge and become exhausted by it. And so these walking energy sponges all around in life, not knowing how to work with that or ground it, and not knowing at all what happened. When I was a little girl, I could not go into shopping malls or crowded places because I'd walk in feeling fine and leave feeling exhausted or with some ache or pain I didn't have before, or depressed or anxious or something not good.
That happens to me.
That happens to you. It happens to a lot of people, and they don't know what to make of it. They don't have a language to describe what's happening to them. And if they go to a traditional doctor who doesn't believe in these subtle energies, then they won't get any answers. And what happens is they get sent through a whole entire medical workup, MRIs, blood tests, scans, and it usually comes back pretty negative, and then they get sent to me, someone like me, like a psychiatrist, to go on Prozac, which is not the treatment for this. Let me just say that for people who want to know if they're an intuitive empath, some of the telltale signs to look for in themselves are if you've been labeled as overly sensitive all your life.
And you have a wonderful little self-quiz.
I do. On page 29 of Positive Energy, and on my website I have a quiz. Have you been labeled as overly sensitive? Do you go home alone to refuel? Are you very sensitive to noise, sounds, or excessive talking? Do you go to the refrigerator to overeat when you're around negative energy? Do you prefer being by yourself a lot of the time? Do you take your own car places as you want to get out? You know, those kinds of things. They're telltale signs of an empath. It's really something that needs to be incorporated into the psychiatric diagnostic criteria.
Rather than have your family just shout out, you need thicker skin. That doesn't do it.
Exactly. You need thicker skin, or what's wrong with you? Toughen up.
Yeah, toughen up.
No, I mean, the point is, if you want to experience spirituality and intuition and go beyond the material, sensitivity and empathy is your way in. And so this is something you want, but you have to learn how to manage the downside of it, which is taking on the energy of others or being so overwhelmed in our coarse world that you don't know how to function, so you want to withdraw and become a recluse. All right, so you don't want that. But see, the problem is most people don't know how to manage their energy, so they get diagnoses such as fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue, or various mystery symptoms that nobody can ever explain, but they're very debilitating, or irritable bowel syndrome. Any kind of energetic disturbance can aggravate or cause those kinds of disorders. And so it's very important to take an energetic history and ask yourself if you're an intuitive empath. And with all of my patients, I talk to them about how they process energy in the world. And some people don't take on energy. I have, and it doesn't, one is not better than the other. I'm not saying that. It's just I'm bringing up intuitive empathy because it's such an issue for so many people, and it has been for myself. But some people have very solid, earth-centered bodies, and they could be around anything and it doesn't come in. All right? That's not my body, and it's not a lot of people's body, but it's okay. And you can still be intuitive and sensitive and open with a body that doesn't take on energy. All right, however, if you do have a body that takes on energy and you have that sensitivity, it can really work for you because it lets you probe into the depths of things, into the deep core center of things. And it allows you to know about the nature of the universe and life because you're able to sense it. the first thing that everyone must do is use your intuition when you're around people and ascertain if your energy goes up around people or down around people. That's a body intuition.
Yeah.
That's powerful. And not to have your head talk you out of it. As you could be around somebody who's smart and funny and successful and attractive, whatever they have, but yet your energy is going down and you want to take a nap after you're with them. You don't marry that person.
Yes.
You don't go out with that person. It seems logical, but people don't know that.
No, it's just they have everything on the list.
It's the list, but they don't have the vocabulary to say, that's fine, but also on my list is that my energy needs to be compatible with this person.
Very good, very true, very essential point.
No, that's not on anybody's list. I mean, hopefully it will be more on people's list.
It's not on our list for people that we marry. It's not on our list for jobs that we take, friendships.
Right. Exactly.
Let's talk about how indiscreet we are as a species at this point, and really take a little deeper look at that, what we do to ourselves.
Well, yes, I think to really take good care of yourself in terms of your own positive energy, you need to ask yourself that question and not talk yourself out of it. And other people will try and talk you out of it because they don't know about energy. At least the ones that don't know about energy will try and talk you out of it. So this isn't about getting a popular vote about how you feel. This is just simply about how you experience somebody. That's it. That's the criteria. And you have to learn how to trust yourself. So you need to gravitate towards people who have positive energy. And these people will feel nurturing, your energy will go up, you'll feel better around them, and you'll feel uplifted and brighter. And sometimes you might want to hug them, or your body wants to get closer to them. You're not crossing your arms or going back, or all those things when you're not comfortable with someone's energy. So you need to find people like that and use your body to tell you who it likes to go to.
Right.
Basically. All right. And then alternatively, you have to sense the energy vampires, the people who suck your energy dry. And how do you know you're around one? Is that suddenly you feel like taking a nap, or you start feeling sick, or you start feeling tired. As a lot of times empaths can get actual physical symptoms around an energy vampire. You can get your heart palpitating. You could start feeling sick to your stomach. All kinds of things. However your body reacts, these are all signs.
Right.
So it's important to first of all notice who you react to and how, what your energy is doing around people.
Right.
Very important. I mean, if you simply ask yourself that question, that will give you a whole new awareness of relationships. So for instance, if you have a bully boss or an energy vampire who criticizes you and judges you and is rude to you every day, day after day, that's going to take a toll on you, especially if you're an intuitive empath and you're going into that environment. All right, so you have to make certain choices in that environment. If possible, it's good not to work with people like that, if possible, if you have a choice.
What if you don't? What if you're there, you love your job, but this person is a real pain to you, an energy suck? How do you correct that?
It depends what kind of energy vampire they are. I go through a number of energy vampires, and one in the work environment is very common, is the drama queen. This is somebody who wears you out with off-the-chart dramas all the time at work, where they can't get into work because their tires are flat, or they couldn't get a ride, or they had the flu and they're about to die. I mean, one thing after another, and they come up to you at your lunch break, and you're trying to replenish yourself, and they're going on and on and on.
Yeah.
So what do you do? What do you do in situations like that? The drama queen is actually the easiest energy vampire to deal with, because the way to deal with the drama queen is not to ever ask him or her how they're doing. You never do that. And you don't give them any juice when they start revving up. You have to stay calm, you have to breathe, you have to stay centered, and you have to say, God, I'm so sorry that's happening to you. I hope you really get it figured out. I'm so sorry, I've got to go back to my work now. And use the body posture to move the body in the opposite direction instead of sitting like this and saying, oh my God, tell me what happened.
Go into that a little bit more.
The body posture? Oh, well, if you're talking to somebody and you're genuinely concerned about them, but you realize you have to set limits with this person, you can cross your arms, you could cross your legs, you can turn towards the desk and start looking at the paper and then look back at them. You give them a message through your body language that you're not engaging with them. But you have a kind but firm tone. You don't look at them and say, I am sick and tired of all this drama, you've got to stop it.
Right, because you're kind of buying into it there, but you're feeding that energy in a bit, even though they may not come back to you. That doesn't feel good for either of you.
They will amp it up.
Yeah,
That doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the way to approach an energy drain, an energy vampire, is to have a kind but firm tone, be very consistent and non-reactive.
Right.
Because energy vampires feed off of your reactivity.
Right.
So if you're getting upset, and you're getting angry, and you're getting frustrated, they're getting what they want.
You've engaged and they've got some energy to feed off of.
Right, but then on the other hand, you're not cold or disrespectful.
Yeah, yeah. What about, okay, you say that's the easiest to deal with. What about the control freak in the office? And maybe the control freak is your boss.
Well, with the boss is the hardest example, because they have a power over you and that they tell you what to do for your job. However, there are ways to get around it. Number one, bully bosses only seem to pick workers who are the victims. And they go right to the victim. So if you don't give off an energy that you're a victim and that you're cowering and you're afraid, they tend to not be attracted to you. All right, so bullies don't bully other people who can stick up for themselves. I mean, that's just a fact. And so if you're able to have a certain amount of confidence and you set your energy very centered and firm and not going to go into it as opposed to cowering or acting afraid, then they're less likely to come back to you. And also with a bully boss or a controller, you can never control a controller. That's the wrong approach. All right, so you have to really pick your battles and be very concrete about what you'd like to do. And you've got to frame it in terms of it being in their best interest.
Interesting. Give us an example of that, so you have reframed the situation.
Well, one of the energy vampires who are controllers are the narcissists. And narcissists are, everything about life is me, me, me. And narcissists can be charming and wonderful people, but as long as you go along with their program. But when you get off their program and you do something that doesn't agree with them, then they can be very vicious and cold and withholding. And narcissists are energy vampires because they lack an empathy chip. They don't have empathy for other people. It's a huge omission. It's a crippling of the heart that happens. And so with a narcissist, you always have to frame it in terms of their best interests. For instance, let's say you wanted to work different hours. You cannot say, I need to work different hours because I want to be home with my children. You can't put it that way. You've got to say, I'm working different hours because it will really help financially help the company and help you. So you've got to frame it to be about them. It's a little maneuver and it's a hassle, and you don't want to keep doing that. But if you want to have successful communication with a narcissist or a controller, you have to put it in their best interest and not try and control them. You have to do a Zen dance with them.
What if it's the kind of controller that's operating out of fear? Fear that everything's going to fall apart. They're not a narcissist per se. They just have to stay hyper vigilant, or the whole thing's going to hell in a handbasket.
Right, it's all based on fear.
Yeah.
It's all, and you look at energy vampires, we all have the tendencies in us.
Yeah.
And we all have this, but the great thing about positive energy and mindfulness is that you can see when you're doing it and make an effort to stop.